I'm joined by the Queen of the North, Joanne Jobin, hot off the success of the mining event of the North up in Quebec City recently. How are you?
I'm really well. How are you, Matt?
I'm good, but I haven't been as busy as you. You've like I
Oh
say,
my
I want to
God.
talk to you about next
Yeah.
year, but first we better talk about what just happened. I think the conference was
Yeah.
great, big in attendance. Are we going to put it down as a success?
Yeah. For us, and I think the feedback we've gotten has been tremendous. We grew the conference by 100% in 1 year, which is like we expected that in like year four. But that has actually caused a couple of consequences, happy consequences. But one of the major things that I really want to talk to you about today is that as a result of us growing so quickly in 1 year, we've actually outgrown our space. So we are, this is hot off the press. Press release is going out shortly, and we're going to be, our participants are being informed today. But actually, we're moving dates and we're moving venues. So we are still going to be in Quebec City, but our dates are going to be the 4th to the 6th of June. And we are moving to the Congrès, go
Congrès
back,
de Quebec.
the Congrès de
Oui,
Quebec.
oui,
Yes,
oui, oui.
yes,
Well, look, and look,
yes,
that's a consequence of the fact that there's such a big turnout.
yes,
Obviously, we were there. It was extremely well
yeah,
run as it was the year before. We loved some of the things that you were doing. Not only was there a big turnout in terms of companies, but also investors, and also that the students
yeah.
sponsorship, which we talk about in a second. But okay, you got a new date.
Hmm.
June 4th to 6th,
Yep.
2024. If you're an investor, if you haven't been the past couple of years, you should be putting that in your diary now. Can we just talk about the venue? So obviously it was a
Yeah.
beautiful venue, a big venue, but where are you
Stunning.
going?
Stunning. So we're going to the Congrès de Quebec, which is
Right.
in the heart of the historic area, right downtown. Really convenient because it's got two hotels that are actually attached to it, the Hilton and the Delta. But the space is amazing with 360-degree views of Quebec City. So it'll be able to handle all of our networking, which is kind of a hallmark of our conference now. We do fantastic networking events. So we'll be able to do everything in one space instead of, you were staying at the chateau, you have to take the shuttle, you have to go over to the armory, and then you have to come back to the chateau for evening events. So we're going to be able to do everything in one location and keep everybody together. Because one of the feedbacks we had last year, we couldn't fit everyone into the armory. So we used the hotel across the street, the Chateau Laurier, to put 23 other companies, and they felt very isolated. And rightly so. I mean, but we had no choice. We had no room at the inn, as they say. So this
They do
year
say that
we're not
every
going to, yeah.
Christmas.
So this year we don't have that problem. And what's really nice is because we're getting more sponsors as well next year. So, we expect more participation from the US Department of Trade and the US government side, particularly because we're really focused on critical metals next year. And, we've got the Newfoundland government that wants to be a big part of us next year as well. And I'm going to say that we're becoming more global as well. So I think one of the important things that you're going to see us expand into, which is what I've been saying from the beginning, is we want global companies and global investors to come to Quebec so that the Quebec investors can meet global companies and the global companies can meet investors that they've never met before. So that is like we started to see the start of that in 23, and 24, I think, is really going to be our breakthrough year.
Right. Okay. So that's what's in it for companies. That's what's in it for investors, institutional, retail alike. I think some of the interesting things that kind of certainly got the big numbers was around the sponsorship deals that you did. There's a student sponsorship, there's a
Yeah.
Chico initiative, and I
Hmm.
suspect there will be more coming up next year.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
So this was our first year for our student sponsorship, and we said we were going to sponsor up to 50 students. So we had 47 students that came in. We put them up for 3 days. It was almost like a mini conference within the conference. So each night we would have CEOs and thought leaders come and speak to the students. The students had a room, and they had buffet dinner every night, and those people would come and speak to the students, either as inspirational speaking, or inspirational thoughts and where they've been, or actually about the mining industry. And the students got to mingle through at the networking events and sit and watch these CEOs in action as they were doing their presentations. So that was an amazing hit. We had amazing feedback from the students who have been posting online, have been sending us thank you letters for the opportunity to really, really see what the mining industry is like. And then really what's great about it is that we've had more mining companies come to us and say, next year, we want to be involved in this. We want to be part of this sponsorship. So I can't tell you who they are, but I can tell you that they're coming, and I'm super excited about it.
Okay, and then just continuing along that kind of, I guess, differentiation from other conferences that are out there, because for me as an investor, me as family office, there's just so many conferences that are going on which just all do the same thing, not really geared up for the companies, not really geared up for the investors. It's all about making money. So what else are you bringing to the party?
Well, besides a student sponsorship, how do we differentiate ourselves? It's not a matter of collecting your money and going past go. And I am not, how do I put this? It's not just a business for me. I've been in the mining industry for 30 years. I want to leave a legacy behind. And how do I do that? Well, the first thing we did is the student sponsorship, which provides sustainability for the industry. But the other thing that we did, I think, which is like really near and dear to my heart, and particularly Jenny, who the queen, it's to provide support to young women in developing countries and help them with their startups or education. And this year, I personally donated, IRA Inc. donated, my company, $10,000 to 3 young women from Afghanistan who are completing their engineering study here in the University of BC. And we worked with JDS to get this done. So that check is going out shortly to the University of BC to specifically help those 3 women. And I want to be really clear. This is not a fund for us. This is an initiative. So we willingly give that money. There's no strings attached to it or anything else. It's a donation to help young women and young girls in developing societies succeed. And of course, we always want to tie it into Canada in some way, shape, or form. And we've asked people to help us find a great charity for 2024 already. So that is in the works. We've also had people come up to us during the conference and say, oh, we didn't know this was happening. Oh, well, why didn't you tell us? We would have matched it. So next year, we're coming after you to match that donation. You know who you are. We're coming after you.
I thought it was on to me, which I'll do as well.
Okay,
join the queue. Okay, so giving back into the industry, but giving back to to women, students, people. Like we'll keep this industry alive and hopefully grow it positively. Right. Need to talk about next year. Clearly, the companies are interested in, and the investors will be interested in terms of, you've increased the numbers this year. What are you expecting next year in terms of that growth profile?
Okay, so it's a delicate dance, right? Because we want to keep the intimacy. Like, people love our conference because it's so tight and people can, you can talk to people. You don't have to wait in line. Our networking is great. So how do we keep that intimacy that we're known for, and that without like blowing the doors off? I'm not interested in that. I want to keep the ratio 2 to 1 so that the companies get those opportunities to meet with the investors. We've all been to conferences where there's too many companies and not enough investors. So we're being very, very, very careful with that ratio. So, this year we grew 100%. As I said, like we expected that in year 4, not in year 2, not complaining. So next year we expect the growth to be around 20% conservatively, which I think is great. That will allow, we already have companies that are like, yeah, we're coming back in, we want to come to your conference this year. We heard it was great. Well, we're going to give the opportunity to those companies who've been loyal to us for the past 2 years to say yay or nay first. And my understanding is most of them are coming back. So that will leave a little room for the new companies and new sponsors coming in.
Okay, good. So investors have got lots of companies to meet, lots of
Yep. And more
lots of
investors are
opportunity.
coming in too, right? So we've
Yeah.
had lots of other investors have contacted us and said, we heard it was great. We were thinking of going. We should have been going. I'm going to be meeting with a bunch of funds in North America. And as you know, I'm coming to London to take you out for dinner. So we'll be meeting with some funds in London as well. We want them to come and meet with us and to join us.
Right. Okay. And then I guess you can't have a conversation like this. And I know it's early, but you got to start these things early. Take a lot of planning, a lot of logistics in place. But
yes.
In terms of the companies and investors who attended, feedback from them. You've told us lots of kind of positive stuff going on there. But is there anything that you're going to do different, or things that you're going to really kind of get behind for next year?
Our one-on-one calendar, I think, is going to be enhanced this year. I think for a lot of people, we introduced a lot of new things this year. Like we have, I always like to say there's a price and a place for everyone, right? So we had this small cap lounge that went really well. That's going to be increased this year. But these guys as well need to be educated in, if you make an appointment, you have to show up for your appointment, right? So these are growing pains that we are going to be addressing and working on. And we've already identified where we're missing bits and pieces as far as putting a few more people onto the calendar and having more bodies, more human arrows, more signage. All of these things are, as I say, can be fixed, and they're small growing pains. And if there's anything that, out of all of the accolades and the great things that we did this year, these are the things we've identified that we can improve on, and we will be improving on them.
Okay, young Ms. Jobin, thank you very much for making time to kind of speak to us after the event. I very much enjoyed it there.
Thank you.
Give us an update on what to expect. We'll hopefully hear back from you real soon.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to your participation next year, Matt. And we won't have you like running around like a woman with her hair on fire, like we always do. We will set the pace so that's a little more comfortable for you. But thank you for coming. Thank you for participating with us. Your team was amazing, and we look forward to next year having you there again. Thank you so much.